I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about UFC President Dana White takes aim at Jake Paul for boxing Nate Diaz. As soon as Jake Paul loses, he goes back to fight a 40-year-old MMA fighter. Dana White isn't a fan of Jake Paul boxing Nate Diaz. On August 5th in Dallas, Texas, Jake Paul and Nate Diaz are set to headline a boxing pay-per-view on the Zone. It will be a highly anticipated fight, but White doesn't have much of an interest in it as well. He says it's funny that once Jake Paul loses to an actual boxer, is what people are calling Tommy Fury now, he goes back to fighting 40-year-old MMA fighters. I don't know, man. I've been trying not to criticize it. I like Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz and I have a good relationship. It's just, listen, Jake Paul went out and fought a real boxer who was his age, his weight, and he lost. So as soon as he loses, he goes back to a 40-year-old MMA fighter who's smaller than him. Not his weight. It's just, listen, it's just one of those fights that I know that some people are into this. It's just not what I'm into. It's not my thing, is what Dana White said on the Jim Rome show. It shouldn't be a surprise to see Dana White take aim at Jake Paul boxing Nate Diaz, as the two have never gotten along and have taken shots at one another as well. When the fight was first announced following UFC Kansas City, Dana White said he wasn't going to criticize it or talk about it, which he has already gone back on. I don't want to beep on other people's fights like Oscar de la Weirdo, okay? Dana White taking shot at Oscar De La Hoya, as always. But yeah, no, I don't want to talk about the fight. It's just, first of all, neither guy is my guy. That's interesting. There's just no need for me to comment on it. I wish him the best. I hope they make a zillion dollars. Although White isn't a fan of Paul versus Diaz, it's likely the fight is going to be a big box office success, but Diaz has already said he will return to the UFC if he gets the belt after he defeats Jake Paul. Okay, obviously there's a lot of heat between Jake Paul and Dana White. It's funny to see that because Dana White and Jake Paul's brother, Logan Paul, they have like a very, very good working relationship. Logan Paul is in the WWE. Logan Paul and Prime is like the official drink of the UFC or something like that. So it's interesting to see how Dana White and Jake Paul just can't seem to ever get along. Like they just can't get along. But how cool Logan Paul and Dana White is, that's a very interesting thing to see. Now, as far as the fight between Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, a lot of people are saying exactly what Dana White is saying, right? Like Jake Paul finally fought a person like Tommy Fury, who before the fight, a lot of people were saying he's not a real boxer. People thought Jake Paul was going to beat Tommy Fury, but Tommy Fury defeated Jake Paul. Was it a unanimous decision victory? I can't remember. But Tommy Fury defeated Jake Paul, and for some reason they did not make the rematch, and no one's really said why they haven't made the rematch. It was definitely shocking and disappointing. I don't think people are going to really care, truthfully. They're going to tune into the fight. Let me know who you think is going to win the fight. That's all that really matters. Like whether Dana White likes the fight or doesn't like the fight, no one, it just doesn't matter. The question is, who do you think is going to win? Or the question is, hey, maybe you're part of the Dana White camp. It's just like, I don't really care, right? That's also an option. You could either be Team Paul, Team Diaz, or Team I do not care, right? I'm Jason, UFC, and today we had a story about UFC president Dana White take aim at Jake Paul for boxing Nate Diaz. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button. and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.